What's going on, Jabroners? It's your boy Jabroni Crayon here, and in this week's video, I'm going to be talking about WoW 10.0, WoW's next expansion, and some of the things they have to get right in order for this game to stay alive and for Blizzard to stay above water. Let's go. Alright guys, so the first thing I think WoW needs to really focus on is we need to get out of this cosmic, at least these cosmic settings. Let's return to Azeroth, give us a very straightforward, traditional expansion as far as setting goes, right? If they want to continue this cosmic story with Sylvanas, Zaval, whatever, I don't know where we're going after this. I haven't been paying a ton of attention in Shadowlands to the story because straight up it's a fucking mess. If you haven't been paying attention, I don't pay attention voluntarily because it's not good. Okay, I really miss the old WoW villains that had a lot of exposition, had a lot of build-up. We really need to get a return to that, and I feel like they should spend this expansion really building a good villain and bringing us back to Azeroth and sticking to traditional themes. This could be stuff like the Dragon Isles, who, you know, Bellular has made a point of, and other people, and there's been leaks of, and back in Classic they were working on this. Some kind of exploration of Azeroth, I think, would go a really long way. And I think it's what players want, where we're sick of going to outer space or going to other realms. Like, this is World of Warcraft. We love Azeroth. That's our home. That's what we're here to defend. That's what we're here to explore. So let's check that out more. The second thing we got to talk about, guys, is I think that it's time to end this faction conflict in World of Warcraft. I know some people are diehard Horde or Alliance players, and I still think the game should support you and your pride and wherever you want to fall or whatever, but as far as playing goes and gameplay-wise, players should be able to play with each other no matter what faction you are. I just think it makes sense in retail WoW. It might not make sense in Classic, obviously, but in retail WoW, this conflict, you know, Battle for Azeroth was a failure as far as this Horde Alliance, like, resurgence of conflict. It's over. Like, we've united a million times to fight these threats. At this point, it's very obvious. Everybody's getting along. Let players play with each other. The real reason why this is a good idea, beyond just story, is it allows players to play with their friends who they normally otherwise never play with. I have a lot of friends on the Alliance that I'd love to play with. They've got people on the Horde they would probably love to play with. This would shorten queue times. This would allow people to try out new races in a lot of ways. I would love to make a Dark Iron Dwarf. I never will, unless if you guys do this. Like, I've never touched the Alliance, really, like, seriously. And so I feel like this would be a great opportunity to use the content you have in the game and allow players who normally wouldn't explore that content to explore it, because now there's no barriers. And I think this just makes sense in the scene of retail World of Warcraft. It's a good idea. I think it has way more benefits than cons. It's something they should do. The third thing, and this is obvious, it's been a while, like, give us a new class. You know, it's been since Legion, so over 2 expansions we're going to be at, where we've been introduced to the Demon Hunter class. And the Demon Hunters are great, but we need something new. We need something fresh. Preferably another ranged DPS. We have never gotten a ranged DPS from an expansion. So I think that, you know, this could be so many things. A lot of people would love a Tinkerer. I think a Tinkerer would be dope. I could see an easy tank spec with a mech. We've seen, you know, we've been to Mechagon. We have Mecha Gnomes, but we don't have a Tinkerer class. And we know that Tinkerer classes existed in Warcraft 3 and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense. I think it would be pretty exciting. I know that you could do a cool ranged DPS spec with, like, guns and turrets, whatever. I'm thinking of the Engineer from Guild Wars 2. But if they don't want to do that, then what about a Dragon Knight if we're going to go to the Dragon Isles? Or, like, something Dragon Mancer related. That would be dope. People love dragons. Come on. Alright? And lastly, if you're not going to do either of those, and you're going to go something else, or you don't want to do a new class, I really think that new specs for existing classes and remastering specs that just have really not worked in a long time, like Demonology and stuff, would be great. If you told me every class was getting a new spec, I might honestly take that over an entire new class with 3 specs that are well thought out. Because honestly, some classes straight up could use that 4-spec system like Druids, and I can just think of some in my head. Time Mage would be really cool. Necromancer Death Knights. You know, there's a lot of routes they could go with that. It would really dive into the class fantasy, which is my next point. And my next point is the game needs to start to focus, especially this expansion, on class fantasy, class stuff, not so much borrowed power systems. Borrowed power is fine in some contexts, right? Legendaries are fun. I actually really enjoy the legendary system in Shadowlands. I don't like the acquisition. I don't like having to do Torghast. But as far as like using the legendary, acquiring it from like a certain piece of content, but it's guaranteed drop, is cool. And experimenting with different Legos is really fun, and it's good in different content. I love that. And some borrowed power works, but in the context of 10.0, we really need to ditch the conduits, the conduit energy, the covenants. Give us new abilities. Give us a new talent row. Give us something that has to do with our classes. Make certain talents that have always been must takes, just make them baseline. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a choice if for several expansions you're always taking the same talent for a class at a certain level, right? At that point, just make it baseline. It's very obvious that it's not a choice anymore if it's literally not situational. Maybe a return to the old talent system we had pre-kata. That'd be great too. Or both. I mean, come on. I think that this would also make the game much easier to balance from a developer perspective. If you don't have covenants, you don't have conduits, you don't have Legos, it's much easier to balance that game, honestly. And players like that because players like being able to wrap their heads around the balancing as well as much as developers do at times. Especially as a PvPer, I like to know that, okay, he's going to have 4 tier set bonus, he's going to have 2 legendaries, like what kinds of ways is this going to break arena? And so many times that's the case, man. So yeah, focus on class fantasy. Please give us that, Blizzard. And the next thing that I would love to see as a PvPer is I would love to see a new battleground. I mean, come on. One new battleground is all I'm asking for this expansion. A new arena on top of that would be great. I think that should be the standard every expansion if you want my honest opinion. One new BG, one new arena. And PvP players will shut up if you give us that. You really don't even give us that. Now, Shadowlands fixed PvP and really saved it and resuscitated it in a lot of ways, and for that, I'm really thankful. The vendors are back and stuff. This should have never been taken out in the first place, okay? Now that it's back, PvP has seen a resurgence. People do RBGs. The rewards are great. RBG teams are coming back. WoW PvP is, like, on the rise, and they need to keep that flame going. They need to brim it. And so, a way to do that is give us a new battleground. Also, another way you can do that is solo queue. I know that in 9.2, we're getting an experimental solo queue with this new brawl, which is like shuffle solo or solo shuffle. It's something like that. I'll put it on the screen, which is great. I mean, I love to see that, and I love to see them taking a chance, trying this. I know Lost Ark has a similar kind of system, and look, if it works, great. If it doesn't, screw it. You have arena skirmishes. You have the ability to implement a ranked solo queue. I know that it might be messy, it might not be perfect, but it doesn't need to be. As long as it works and it's functional, I think players will be happy and be thankful, okay? If you really want the perfect comp, find a partner, okay? And solo queue could be a great bridge to finding that partner. Even if you're like constantly queuing, it's double DPS, you're going against a healer, you're getting shit on, you're pissed. At least it's something rather than nothing. And that's really what we'll take as PvPers, man. Just give us something here, please. Okay. The last thing I have to say for this video, guys, for 10.0, probably the most important, is just it's a wider philosophical thing, and that's learn from your mistakes, Blizzard. Okay? We've seen the cycle. We've all seen this meme at this point. If you're a big WoW player, you've seen the Ian meme, where it's literally the expansion comes out, they stick to these systems. Nobody likes the systems. They don't like the way it's implemented. They decline on changing them during the PTR, and it's till the end of the expansion, the 0.2 patch, or the 0.1 or the 0.15, where we finally start to see changes in things players like. Stop that. The expansion needs to start, especially 10.0, of all expansions, needs to start strong. It needs to start very strong, in my opinion. From a story perspective, from a system perspective, from a class perspective, do not fuck around here, Blizzard. You're literally on such thin ice. Final Fantasy XIV is doing incredible and is going to keep doing great. We have New World. We have New World that's improving, and the developers are very responsive. Game might have its problems, but it's on its way. And we also have Ashes of Creation on the horizon. Blizzard has intense competition at this point, more than it's ever had for MMOs. It's an extremely competitive genre now. Blizzard needs to do this right. They can't fuck around. If they fuck around, I'm honestly quitting, guys. So I really hope that they get this right. Learn from your mistakes. Start really strong. Don't give us artificial barriers. Start the game off with good catch-up systems. People want to be able to play alts out the gate. Don't force players to do certain storylines. Don't force players to do Torghast or whatever content you're going to give us. Make it optional. This game is a sandbox in many ways as it is an MMO. Allow players to experiment and enjoy avenues of gameplay that they like. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Jabroniboys signing out. Let me know in the comments as well what you guys want to see in 10.0 and drop a like. Thanks, guys.